conversations on many topics. I would like to learn about the world you come from. For example, where is Paris, France, and what's the Molotov cocktail? And who's Jack the Ripper?
Kundun.
You can tell me many things.
Brad Pitt stars as the Austrian mountain climber who becomes tutor and lifelong friend to the Dalai Lama in 7 years in Tibet. And that's one of 5 new movies we'll be reviewing this week on Siskel and Ebert. I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times.
And I'm Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune, and I admire 7 years in Tibet very much, but not for the performance of Brad Pitt or for his underwritten character, but for a more elemental reason. I think the film beautifully communicates the pacifistic, sweet soul of the Buddhist faith and its most ardent practitioners. Pitt has some problems early on in the picture grabbing hold of his character's Austrian accent. He's a mountain climber, a Nazi party member, in reality with the SS, climbing in the Himalayas under the banner of German propaganda as World War II begins.
Well, good afternoon, Herr Hara.
What is this? Who are you?
I'm sorry, but you're under arrest.
What charge? Failure to summit.
After escaping a British POW camp, Pitt becomes tutor and companion to the young Dalai Lama, who is precocious and curious about Western life. He's played by a marvelous first-time actor, Jamyang Jamsho Wangchuk.
When we are facing the light, it's day. Yes. When we are in shadow, it's night. So if the sun is just rising in Lhasa, that means it is just setting in New York City, perhaps.
On a political level, the film offers a quick survey of the bloody conflict between the Tibetan people and the Chinese who wanted to rule them, and still do.
On the way to Lhasa, I would see Tibetans wearing these jackets. Chinese soldiers, very nice. Give food, clothes, money, very nice. It's strange to me that something so harmless as a jacket could symbolize such a great lie.
I like the film enough to have my young daughters see it, and I mention that because I think it's a good picture as a primer on the Tibetan-Chinese conflict. I do wish Pitt's character, truly controversial in real life, were better written here. We don't learn much about him, and the film does gloss over his Nazi past. Instead, it does focus, and we focus, on the young Dalai Lama character. He's played beautifully, as I mentioned, and we can't help but thrill to his messages of peace and tolerance for all creatures, human and animal. In those scenes, I think 7 years in Tibet is a true joy.
Well, I don't think it focuses on the Dalai Lama enough, and I think, in fact, this movie makes the crucial error of having the wrong point of view, because really the story is about the young Dalai Lama growing up in this forbidden city and being forced into the modern world by World War II.
Well, it's about their relationship,
and then recruiting a tutor who helps him by building a movie theater for him, showing him a globe of the world, giving him history and geography lessons, helps him to become a modern leader. Now, unfortunately, it takes us well over an hour to get to those scenes, and I have seen before, and so have you, mountain climbing scenes, better done. Prisoner of war camp scenes, better done.
Right.
The first hour of this movie is essentially spinning its wheels.
I thought, you understand the basis on which I really like the picture. You don't think that those...
Yeah, but you often accuse me of just taking a little bit out of a picture, and I'm telling you, you're doing the same thing here, because there isn't nearly enough of the Dalai Lama in this film, and there's way too much mountain climbing and boilerplate.
If I were to, sure, I'd like more of the good parts. Yes, and yes, the first hour is not, well, but it's a 2 hour and 30-minute movie, 2:15, so I haven't taken a little part. I've taken about an hour, at least, that I think is rather potent, and I think, really...
So you're voting thumbs up?
Absolutely.
It's a close call for me, but I had to vote thumbs down because I really felt that it wasn't focused in the direction.
The good heart that comes out of this, and I'm not trying to intimidate you with, having you pretend to be anti-Buddhist.
I am in favor of good hearts. I really am.
No, I know that, but I anticipated that. But I'm saying is, there's something very powerful coming out of this picture when it gets it right.
Okay, next movie, our next film is a goofy and lovable space comedy named Rocket Man that stars Harlan Williams as a computer nerd who was selected at the last minute to join a manned mission to Mars. He's the guy who wrote the spaceship's program, but does he have the social skills to live in a small space with 2 other crew members and a monkey for months at a time? Well, the movie begins as he's put through a whirlwind training program. It includes learning to withstand crushing G-forces and getting along with a trained chimpanzee that will also go along on the expedition.
He's a computer genius. He's supposed to be a little weird.
A little?
The movie has a lot of very funny stuff, including this scene where he has to share the same breathing tube with the expedition leader, played by William Sadler.
No. Hey. Don't do that. No, come on. Hey. Oh, man. Oh. Wasn't me.
What do you mean it wasn't you? We're 35 million miles from the nearest person!
It wasn't me is Harlan Williams' instant excuse whenever anything goes wrong. He's like a kid. In fact, I think I was like that. He even manages to fall out of the spaceship and set foot on Mars before the captain, who was scheduled to take that historic first step for mankind. And so man's first words on Mars are, "It wasn't me." Rocket Man is a silly, lightweight comedy, but the surprise is how entertaining it is, how funny, how preposterous, and in a way, how sweet. I suppose it's aimed at the mentality of an 11-year-old, but luckily, I am still in close touch with the 11-year-old inside of me.
Well, boy, we're really embracing everything, aren't we?
Yes,
wonderful.
we are,
I just took on Buddhism, and you took on your youthful quality. Isn't
Yes,
that
I
sweet?
did.
Oh, very
Yes,
good. We're just perfect.
Yes,
well,
I
let me
am.
tell you, I wish the movie were perfect because it starts out funny, and I just thought as it went on, the jokes got to me more predictable. It is a very funny bit.
But the stuff on Mars is
yes,
very
it is.
funny.
That's funny. And that's about an hour into the picture.
About an hour and a half into the picture,
Okay.
actually.
Okay, coming up later on this show, thumbs down for me. Rapper Tupac Shakur's last film, Gang Related.
This is no way to run an investigation.
But coming up next, Burt Reynolds and Mark Wahlberg star in Boogie Nights, a portrait of the porno film industry in the 1970s.
Are you ready?
Come on, you puppies!
My name is Jack.
Eddie Adams.
Eddie Adams from Torrance.
Yep.
Jack Horner, filmmaker.
Really?
Yeah. I make adult films, exotic pictures.
Burt Reynolds is a successful porno filmmaker in California in the 1970s, and Mark Wahlberg plays his latest discovery in Boogie Nights, a beautifully constructed, exceedingly well cast, but not all that significant comic drama of the flourishing porno film industry in the 1970s. Certainly, writer-director Paul Thomas Anderson has all of the details and the decor just right. Burt Reynolds is some of his best work ever as the ambitious director. He doesn't push this character at all. He's centered, in control, and it's a good job of acting.
Good night, Dee.
Good night, Eddie.
Good night.
Glad you came by. You're great.
Thank you.
She's the best. She's a wonderful mother, you know. She's a mother to all those who need love.
His young protege, played by rap singer turned Calvin Klein model Mark Wahlberg, has been hired for his sexual stamina and his size.
You ready? Yeah. Okay. You're gonna make your entrance through this door right here. He'll call action. That's your cue. You got the lines to the scene?
Uh-huh.
If you drop one, just call for it. Do not stop. Okay? Do not stop. You want some water or something?
No, I'm fine.
Okay. You're fine.
Other characters in the porno industry include one played by Don Cheadle.
You have to get a new look.
Why don't you get a new look?
I have a look, okay? The look I have is just fine.
What's your look?
Chocolate love. All right?
I particularly want to praise the casting of this film in big roles and small by Christine Sheeks. Every role of the large cast is perfectly realized. But as well as Boogie Nights plays, at the end of the movie, in a sequence that sums up the fate of all the characters, I was left cold, frankly. Their fate seemed arbitrary, and I certainly found no larger meaning in this film. That's why you're getting a positive, to be sure, but mixed review from me.
Mixed?
Yep.
This is on my list of the 10 best films of the year. This is a wonderful film. And that last sequence with the guy throwing the firecrackers.
Well, I'm talking about...
That was a fab... You've got to admit, that's one of the best stretches of film you've ever seen.
No, I don't.
It is,
that isn't what I was criticizing.
Okay.
Because what I was saying is when we see all of the characters...
Well, you know, there isn't a point. You know, there isn't a point. These people are in a movie that tells a story about a pointless existence. And for a while, they were able to persuade themselves that there is a point, that they're stars, even in this genre. And then at the end, it all comes to pieces again because drugs destroy them, video destroys them, and the mob destroys them. And they try to go out into the real world again, and you're really kind of lost. That's the whole point of the film.
But wait, Roger, you just said it has no point, and then you told me what the point was. But beyond that, that isn't enough. This is the kind of... Now,
what did you want?
Excellent.
What
Wait a
did you
second.
want? Some kind
I am praising the film for its excellence, but it doesn't tell me anything that I didn't know about this world, or that, frankly, if I gave you a camera and shot it, I'm talking about script-wise, not execution.
Oh, listen,
you can't make a film that
think
good.
about the Julianne Moore character, this woman who has left her husband and her child, who wants to make it as a point, who is really supportive and
You've named a
encouraging
very
and
good character.
and nurturing to the other people in the film, but can't do anything for herself.
That's an excellent
Talk about
character.
the Burt Reynolds character. Talk about.
I already did.
Talk about.
I praised
well, to it you praised him, but you didn't really give an idea of what a fabulous job he does of trying to keep these sad, losing, drifting kinds of people together. This movie shows an entire world. It's a sad world. It's an isolated world in which the dreams of stardom nevertheless keep them going.
The dreams of stardom is an old show business cliche, and it happens to be true. It isn't enough to make my 10 best list. It's a familiar subject.
When we come back, James Belushi and Tupac Shakur star in a police caper named Gang Related.
We're the cops on this case. This is our case. We're gonna find the killer. We are killers. Since when does that matter? Huh?
Tupac Shakur and James Belushi star as two cops who are also killers in Gang Related, a movie that begins with the murder of a drug dealer. They're assigned to the case and announce that it's gang related, but as you heard there, it's not. The two cops have successfully robbed and murdered 10 dealers, but that was their 11th victim, and he turns out to be a big mistake because he's an undercover federal agent. In desperation, the cops try to frame somebody for the crime.
Better have a good alibi, James, or it's good alibi bye.
I was in jail all night. Check it out. Y'all ain't gonna know me. So y'all can just let me go right now. What's up?
They finally decide on a homeless man, an alcoholic played by Dennis Quaid, well played, who was so confused they're able to convince him he really did kill that agent. Then Belushi recruits his own girlfriend, a stripper played by Leela Roshan, to pick Quaid out of a lineup, but there's one tricky coincidence.
I know him. He hangs around my building. He lives in the alley or something.
You don't think people hanging around your neighborhood are capable of killing somebody? Well, let me tell you something, sister. You don't live in a great neighborhood.
The movie has a rich vein of dark humor, as in this scene where the cops figure out that they picked the wrong homeless guy to frame.
You picked a surgeon who performs transplants on the poor in Africa.
He was living on the streets. How the hell I was supposed to know he was a damn doctor?
Oh, he's not a doctor. You picked a saint to pin a murder on.
Gang Related was written and directed by Jim Kauf, and the screenplay shows a lot of nerve in making the central characters into villains. We identify, I think, with them anyway, up to a degree, maybe because they trigger our own built-in guilt. The dialogue crackles with life and energy. There are a lot of colorful characters. My only complaint is that the ending is a little too neat after everything that's gone before. This movie is good enough to deserve a better ending.
Yeah, that's for sure. I would have also said a better middle, too. The part where that does work, the premise is clever. The part that does work is when they're trying to find, and it's very funny, when they're trying to find who they're going to frame, because the guys that they pick all have these absolute airtight alibis, and that's funny as it comes out. I think there are 3 of them. But the byplay between Shakur and Belushi seemed familiar to me, the buddy stuff, and that I didn't like.
It's not buddy stuff, Gene. It isn't, because Belushi is constantly trying to give him pep talks, and he doesn't have the heart for it. It's not the usual buddy stuff.
On the question of Tupac Shakur, because this picture is going to get reviewed twice, for the movie and for the loss of him. I'm on record of liking him from everything he's done, including Poetic Justice.
And he can act. Remember him in Gridlock?
He can act. This doesn't give him as much to do as I would have liked. He was a big talent as an actor. Coming up next, money comes between lovers and also a father and daughter. Jennifer Jason Leigh, Albert Finney co-star in Washington Square. Our next film is based on the Henry James novel Washington Square, with Albert Finney playing the wealthy, imperious head of a family who doesn't want to lose control of his grown daughter, Jennifer Jason Leigh, and certainly doesn't want to lose her to a young suitor he believes is after her money, which of course is his money. The suitor is played quite effectively by Ben Chaplin.
He's an extraordinary man, your father. He's the type of man I would wish to be.
I knew you two would get along.
And what if we hadn't? I should like you to tell me that it wouldn't have mattered.
But of course it would have mattered. It would have mattered greatly.
And here's how the money issue is dealt with by the daughter.
He told me to tell you that if I marry you without his consent, I shall not inherit a penny of his fortune.
Please tell him that I don't give a damn for his message, and that I want or need his money.
This is the best speech in the entire film. It's delivered by daughter to father.
It occurs to me if I live with you, I ought to obey you.
If that's your theory, it's certainly mine.
But if I don't obey you, I ought not to live with you. To enjoy your kindness and protection.
What a distasteful idea. It must be Mr. Townsend's.
No. It is mine.
Washington Square offers a few powerful moments like that, but not as many as some of the English period costume dramas it resembles in mood and decor, the Merchant Ivory productions, for example, and not enough to get a marginal recommendation from me. No fault with the acting. It's really good, particularly character an aunt played by Maggie Smith. It's just that the intellectual turf here is oh so familiar.
Well, I'm voting thumbs up, but I don't know what you mean by intellectual turf. This is pretty much a straightforward Henry James story. He's one of my 2 or 3 favorite authors, and most of his books are about love versus money and how you need money in order to have freedom. And that's what it's about.
The class issues and the holding on to power. So
are you saying they shouldn't make movies out of Henry James novels because we've already seen things about this before?
You know I'm not. No,
I don't understand when you say it's too familiar.
What I'm saying is that it is extremely well acted, but the actual story here, you have told me that this isn't. You don't consider this one of James's greatest novels, so therefore what I'm saying is this is familiar.
Well, of course,
there's a reason why
first of all, it doesn't matter if it's a great novel or not because the movie has to stand on its own 2 feet. Now, what's interesting is that very gradually she finds out exactly what her lover wants. Very gradually she finds out exactly who her father is.
It wouldn't be much
and by the end of the movie, what she has done is managed to reinvent herself as a woman who doesn't need either of those men. You can see that transformation in the scene that you said was the best one in the movie.
When I see the power that she has with those remarks, but that's all that I see.
Okay, when we come back, Mark Wahlberg of Boogie Nights stars in our video pick of the week.
Siskel and Ebert's Video Pick of the Week is brought to you by Nestle Raisinets. At the movies or at home, Raisinets.
My video pick this week contains another fine performance by Mark Wahlberg, who is an Oscar contender, I think, for his work in the new film Boogie Nights. Wahlberg starred earlier this year in Traveler, the story of a tightly knit clan of Irish descent who travel the roads of the American rural South in teams of con men.
Some of your people come through here last spring.
Some of my people? I don't know what you mean, sir. Just me and my cousin up there.
You know pure deep well what I mean. I know how you all do. Charge me $200, seal the barn roof. First rain, all come off.
That's terrible, sir, but it wasn't us.
The movie does a sly and expert job of explaining how some of the scams take place.
So what's the deal? I can buy a trailer for $5 grand. Sell it to some hard luck store for 10 inside of 2 days. No overhead, no warranty, no nothing. Just thank you very much.
What's wrong with them?
Nothing. For the first couple months.
The character played by Wahlberg here is worlds away from his role in Boogie Nights, showing his range and ability. Traveler, my video pick of the week. Now let's take another look at the movies we reviewed this week. We split on 7 Years in Tibet, starring Brad Pitt. Gene greatly admires the portrayal of Buddhist values in the movie, but although I found the material involving the Dalai Lama fascinating, I thought the movie took too long to get to it. Another split decision on Rocket Man, the screwball space comedy starring Harlan Williams as a nerd who goes to Mars. Gene thought it ran out of steam. 2 thumbs up for Boogie Nights, which takes the risky subject of adult filmmaking and finds several very human stories in it. It's on my list of the year's 10 best. We split on Gang Related, starring James Belushi and Tupac Shakur as cops who are killers. I thought the screenplay lifted the movie above the level of the average police thriller. Gene thought it didn't deliver on its premise. And finally, a split vote on Washington Square. I admired Jennifer Jason Leigh's quiet, spirited performance. Gene felt he was watching tired material. And in last week's show, reviewing Kiss the Girls, I said it was based on a novel by Richard North Patterson. Actually, it's based on a novel by James Patterson.
Okay, now remember you can check our votes and hear our reviews of recent movies at our website. The address is Siskel-Ebert.com. That's it for this week. Next week, we'll be back with reviews of more new movies, including The Devil's Advocate, starring Al Pacino as a diabolical advisor to young attorney Keanu Reeves, and also Playing God, starring David Duchovny from The X-Files as a disgraced doctor who falls under the spell of gang leader Timothy Hutton. That's next week, and until then, the balcony is closed.